Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to another edition of Let That Sink In. Well, I'm your host, Don P. And today we got a special guest, and it's JD Jones. And we're going to talk about politics today. Now, if y'all know me, I said I really don't like talking about politics because it split the room. But I feel that we just going to talk about it today. And hopefully we get some insight from both sides of the political sides. So, without further ado, here we go. So, like I said, we're going to talk about politics today. And our first question is to vote or not to vote. So, I'm going to give you my stance on what I feel. I feel voting doesn't help. It doesn't matter. And a lot of people feel that it does or it doesn't. But to me, I don't think that politics and voting works because this system was not made for us. And when I say us, I mean as Black Americans, African Americans. It doesn't work for us because the system wasn't made for us. It wasn't made by us. So we're just pawns in the game that they've made. And we look over time, our lives haven't really become greater. I mean, has gotten greater, but that's just because of evolution that no one's going to stay the same. So I just think that's by happenstance. And to me, we just playing somebody else's game and we just pawns. And I just want to turn it over to my guest and get his point of view. And then we're going to give our reasons why we feel the way that we feel. So what do you feel about voting? I know you are a proponent of voting on the local level and on the national level. So tell me why you think that voting is important.
Because you have to have a say in what affects you. Bottom line, the least you can do in any situation is to vote. Voting is the least. It does affect the outcome in terms of African Americans throughout time. Once we began to vote, then things truly began to change for us. That's just what I feel. But it doesn't stop there. And I think a lot of times what I see is that a lot of people think that once you vote, then that's all you got to do. And it's not. You have to become a political force. And I think we have some, political bodies out there that we could probably be in better communication with. I know those things that are specific to African Americans are quite often or can be forgotten about or put on the back burner. But there are some things that have definitely, benefited us, and I don't think, our day-to-day per se is much different from any other American. So as you lift all tides or whatever the saying is, we'll lift all boats. I think that is true. There are some things that still need to be addressed as it, relates to African Americans that, once again, we must still continue to push for. But you got to make sure you got a body who's willing to hear you. And sometimes we don't have bodies in local or federal elections that are willing to hear us.
So let me ask you this. That last statement that you just made, do you think that we have political people that's willing to hear us and to be for us? But the reason why I ask that is because I've seen community meetings where we talk to political parties or political individuals, and they would go to and they would state their claims about their communities. And it was like when you read the temperature of the room, the politician is just like, hurry up, say what you're going to say. I'm not really listening to you, but we're going to make it seem like we're appeasing, we're trying to hear you. And it'd be like after a person goes on with their rant and their concerns, they'd be like, next. And to me, and the reason why I feel like that, I don't feel that we have anybody that has our best interest at hand. I think it's all about the agenda that's put out there. And if you don't fall in line and try to get, because the reason why I say this is because, and I'm talking about on a national level at this moment, is corporate America runs America because they fund all of these politicians, and whatever they need to get done, they fund it to get done by interest groups and those type of things. And they are the ones that send the kids to school to a pipeline to be slaves and workers for their corporations, for their big corporations or whatever. These politicians, and then like you say, we need representation in there for African Americans. Many times I see, we know we have problems, whereas like redlining, business loans, reparations, or whatever the case may be. No one puts these things on the table and say we need to talk to these, and we need to talk to this, and we need to resolve this and get answers to where we could be equal in society. Now, I know it goes way deeper than that. If you know anything about history or you do your research or whatever, it goes deeper than that. But how can I vote for somebody and put somebody in office that it's not going to be for me?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say they're not for you. I think it's about, once again, political force. You spoke about interest groups. That's a political force. Corporations are organized and they are well funded to have political force in Washington with dollars,
right,
to influence, our congressmen.
Right.
Congressmen. There are some ears that are more, I don't have the word right now, but are willing to listen to our concerns. At least there has been dialogue about reparations. I've always been a fan, since early 90s, of Marianne Williamson, who's been writing and speaking about reparations here in America for Black people, African Americans. So I'm still, she's the one who brought it to the national stage, to be honest with you. She's running again. I do believe that there are local people, in office that would have the same thinking, willing to go ahead and push that forth. I think the expectation that a lot of people have is that once they vote, they expect things to happen, and that's just not America. The key to everything, local and federal, is to be organized. So the least you can do is vote. Then you must organize and keep the volume up on what it is that you want, because the overarching needs of America can include the needs of African Americans. So I can't really speak to, like, say, for instance, the infrastructure bill. It may be some things in there that specifically does address, our needs in our communities. I can't speak to that because I don't know the full plan.
Right.
I think to think that nobody's on our side is a defeatist way of looking at it, especially if you don't vote, if it makes you not vote, because you definitely are allowing things not to be.
So let me ask you this. Okay. Just say you are a person that's a person that believes in voting. Okay. And you vote. Just like the saying goes, promise you everything and give you nothing. And you vote. And all these promises that they made to you that they were going to do, and none of it manifests. And then they say, well, the other side shot it down. Their hands were tied. We couldn't get it done because this or this and that. So if you knew going in that there's going to be roadblocks, why would you be promising somebody something that you can't deliver on?
I don't see it that way. Yes, politicians are politicians. They will make promises, right? So the game of politics is the game of politics. We can't deny what can exist in politics, but there's some real achievements that can be had through the democratic process, that involves voting. But I still say what I say is you'd have to go back to being a political force and being, and making sure even our political forces are not bought out or made to go neutral on certain things. And we need to be very clear on what those organizations are, and work with them, because then they also have the dollars, the budget, and it's a different hierarchy when you talk about voting, because voting is local, and it has a certain mechanism on how votes are tallied and gathered and that pathway. But when you talk about the needs of African Americans, is there an infrastructure in place where we can make our collective desires known, decide what's most impactful, what's most important to us, and that infrastructure then affects, could it affect local government as well as federal government? So that's what I'm speaking to. The game of politics is the game of politics. We can't get around that,
right?
And do certain desires that may be looked at, will they be seen as important as other issues? That's just in politics. We can't control that. So I'm a believer of the fight. I'm a believer of the vote. I'm a believer of really, America, the democratic processes, because I don't know. There's some, America has ills. America has a lot of ills, but I don't desire any other system but our.
And I'm with you on that. But see, this is why I say I don't believe in it, because on paper it looks good, because we're supposed to be a democracy for the people, by the people. But the people do not run America. I don't care who you vote for. And then just like
money does.
And exactly, that's why the corporations run America. Right, and just like when I can't remember the president, but it was going against George Bush Jr. We went to bed thinking that I think it was Al Gore. We went to bed thinking Al Gore was the president. We wake up the next day, George W. Bush is the president, because then they say, no, we ain't going by the popular vote. We're going by the electoral vote. They were like, okay, now it's just like my girl on
So there's a lot of conversation about electoral vote, right? That process, and many have spoken against it, because the truth of the matter is that regardless, they're supposed to follow, the vote of, their constituents, their districts and so forth, right? They actually have the right to vote otherwise than those that they represent. So there's been a lot of conversation, especially, honestly, since when, Trump won. There were some electors that just voted, differently than those that they represent. And we realized that was a flaw. So that's something that's a buzz. So if that is your ministry, for lack of a better term, then that's where you lend your power. You have power, we have power. So you just simply lend your power to those efforts and any other efforts that are important to you. Some efforts or issues may not be as important to others. So that, as it is with government or governments, both local and national. So it really hurts me when anybody feels somewhat defeatist about the process. I see examples all the time how voting has shifted and made things better. I personally take note of it. I am a fan of Barack Obama. I love my black leaders. I wouldn't have the insurance being retired. I wouldn't have the insurance I have right now to take care of my needs if it wasn't for what Barack Obama negotiated. Was it ultimately what he wanted? No. Was it ultimately what America wanted? No. But because there are others that have differences of opinion, then we got somewhere in the middle.
And I understand that, and I can go with the insurance deal or whatever, because that was one of his things that when he went out, he went out of office, that they gave him credit for. But I'm talking
he got
about
credit for it in his first 4 years.
I'm saying, when a president go out of presidential status or whatever,
right?
They always say what he's known for. You know what I mean? So, what did he do? President
Cornerstone of his
Obama was Obamacare and killing bin Laden. That was his claim to fame.
No, that was not a claim to fame.
That was his claim to fame.
It was not a claim to fame.
And then he didn't do anything else. I mean, if you just go down and you nitpick, you're gonna find these little things. I'm saying on a grand scale, he didn't do anything.
So let's be very, very clear of that time. So under George W. Bush,
he did bring the economy back from Junior.
What? Okay. So I mean,
but
why?
I think that's not because of him though. I think that's just because of economics is going to change that, because they need to make money.
And see that's another dangerous thing when we try to pinpoint it on one person. So yes, him and hold on.
No, because I gotta get just like in sports, they always say it's a team sport. But that quarterback and that coach are always going to take the credit.
Right.
So if you take that stand as being the man, the chief of staff, the president you're going to take all the credit and you're going to take all the blame.
And that's okay. And it's okay if we do that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But the point I was going to make is that the economy had crashed because, bad securities written in the mortgage industry, and it was a big, huge fissure in economics, if you will. And the economy, as a result, the economy did crash. October of 2008, you actually, if you can read the chart, you actually see the premonition in 2007. People don't know that. And maybe one day we'll do a computer display and I could talk about certain things. Okay. But in 2007, you could see the makings of a downward trend or pending downward trend in the market charts. But nonetheless, everything crashed October 2008. I want to say specifically October 9th. I almost think I remember when everything was, everything went live and they started announcing it. So when, and I'm kind of glad we're having this conversation on the Obama thing because, I want my people, because I know that's probably the majority of your audience.
And I want you to get it off.
Yeah. And, so the market crash, Obama was inaugurated 2009, January 2009. Shambles, the market's in shambles. The world economy is in shambles, right? The U.S. being the leader, first of all, the cause of these rippling, failing economies around the world, and being that America is an economic power, then basically what was happening, you needed answers first, right? People, everybody was waiting on answers to see what really, really happened. And once that was found out, then the world, literally the world, was waiting on the word of a black man and his administration. I can't pinpoint that enough. The fact that he got in office, mic drop. The fact that the whole world was waiting on the word of a black man and his administration speaks volumes. And guess what? I can show you on the charts what his economy looks like.
So let me ask you this. If Joe Blow was in office,
I can't guarantee.
What were they going to be waiting on his word?
They would have been waiting on his word. But my point to you is he was a black man who was tasked with bringing back the economics of the whole planet. of the whole globe. I'm not going to shoot my black leader. I'm just not. So, and I shouldn't use the word shoot president, the same word, but
Right.
forgive me. Yeah. So that's huge. We were basically 1 foot in a depression and 1 foot in a recession. We pulled out of, what could have been a depression. That's a huge achievement by that administration. And the fact that he was, voted in for a second term, that speaks volumes. If I could, if we looked at the charts, I could show you how amazing, and it didn't like, I believe in this situation, especially with the economy, I think it took joint efforts of all bodies, not just Obama's administration, but of course all bodies everywhere, including the Fed and all that, to lift this economy. But of course, like you said, he either gets the credit or the blame. So we can go with that if you want. But once again, the charts show how an amazing job the economy did, which led to the prosperous times even after.
Okay, and that's great.
I wish I had a note. I wish I had a note.
And that's great. But this is the reason why I say is because that affected everybody. So he had to make that decision. So what I'm basically drilling down to is, and I'm not just talking about Obama. I'm talking about presidents, period. What are y'all going to do for us when y'all see the injustices go on, all the things that go on behind closed doors or whatever, how y'all try to push us out? And I'm going to go back to local. We put these people in office. Well, they put these people in office because they want them to have their best interests at hand. So why do these people, and we know money runs the world. Money makes the world go round.
But
so
not the only thing.
I know what,
not the only thing.
But I'm speaking to my audience. What money makes it? Why do they let we're gonna talk about gentrification? Why do they let people come out and push our grandmothers and aunts and stuff out of their neighborhoods and not put it to where this can't happen? We know y'all got the economics and y'all have the power because y'all have the money. So we know y'all get to take over because money talks. This is America. This is a capitalist country, and it's all about the money, and we know that. But if you are for me, you're gonna say no. Y'all can have this much, but y'all can't have all of it. You can't run all these people out of their homes, and I'm not, and that it affects other nationalities too. But you can't have all these people homes. You can't come in here and run them out of their house. You're doing stuff that you know underhandedly is going to run these people out of their homes, raising taxes that they can't pay. They on fixed incomes. They can't pay these high tax. Property tax, so they got to move and they got to sell their homes for pennies, and then you come up here and then you make the property higher than what it is. But I'm voting you in, and then you're supposed to be for me, but you are pushing me out.
So if you were to look at the city of Atlanta in particular, Keisha Lance Bottoms was pivotal in setting up a program where that you're concerned with can't happen. Andre, why am I killing
3,000?
No. The mayor, he's actually an acquaintance of mine.
I don't know his name. I don't. That's how you know I don't do politics.
Well, it sounds like you should with all that passion in your voice. That's a determination. You need to pay attention to that. Notice what gets you riled up and inspired, right? So clearly that riles you up and inspires you, and so you probably should be working on at some level with that sort of situation, but Keisha Lance Bottoms put in place, especially for the West Side, where those who are in those neighborhoods who have been historically in those neighborhoods can't be pushed out simply because of market conditions. That's the key, because that's what caused the pushing out, the regentrification quite often of neighborhoods of older poor people, is that once again you bring in the money, and some people are willing to sell, maybe even under, because they're poor. They want the money.
They want the money.
Totally understandable. Totally understand why they would, want to sell. But as you said, that then creates higher values, and therefore taxes go up. And then those who can't pay, who are on fixed incomes, disability, what have you, they can't pay those taxes, let alone quite often maybe not even know about them. And then somebody buys the deed unbeknownst to the owner, and those people, their houses are paid off. So there is a new awareness. Where it's playing out, as a whole, I couldn't tell you, but I can tell you the city of Atlanta has put in place some safeguards to make sure things are done fair, things are done are not abused. So. And I don't know. And once again, that goes back to work to me. I mean, if that's the concern, then get to know that program, how the city of Atlanta is doing it, and seeing what can be done in your community. I don't mean here where you live, but I mean whoever else may see this, they can implement those same standards, elsewhere. So anytime you have a question, anytime you feel like something's unfair, the answer is just on the other side of that. The answer is right there. The answer is just on the other side, because it's cool to zero in on the problem and exact the problem, but it's even cooler when the work to correct the problem is at play.
Well, we're going to move on, because we can talk about this forever, but we got some more topics that we want to talk about. But I'm going to leave you with this.
Don't have to. Now I'm going to have to leave you with something.
Yeah, well, this is our last interaction on that question. But this is why I say I don't believe in the system as far as like voting or whatever. It's just like a relationship. If you had a woman, right? And I use this analogy sometimes with people that may know me, and they may have heard this before, but those that haven't, I use this analogy. You might have a woman, or if you're a woman, you might have a man, and he lies to you, right? A little white lie, whatever, not really significant, whatever. You probably forgive him, right? You're like, this white lie really didn't hurt nothing, whatever.
Or it could be a black lie.
It could be a black lie. Then they lie to you again, right? Then, might have been a little bit more serious, but it is not nothing detrimental to the relationship or whatever. And you'd be like, okay, whatever. It ain't that serious. Then they lie to you again, a big lie. You say, oh man, dang, okay, I forgive you, I get over it. Then they lie to you again. You're like, man, this person is a liar. I can't trust them. So America has been lying to us since we landed here. So why should I trust them?
Are you sure you want to be here?
I don't know.
Okay. Well, and that's a legitimate concern. If when you say lie, I mean, I get what you're saying, but I can't say we're in Jim Crow. I can't say we're in slavery. I think because of the work of many people, specifically us, I think we have made things better. I'm not going to negate what, generations before our ancestors have done for our benefit. There's a T-shirt out there that says, I am my ancestors' wildest dreams. I do believe I have it better than they have. So I'm not going to negate any of their fight. I can't say because America's run by money, I think many Americans have been lied to. I think that is always that push and pull that exists with any system, as it should, because honestly, that's healthy. Sometimes you don't want everybody thinking like you, because it doesn't lead to anything but
No progression.
progression. So you need that tension. You need to, you need that push and pull. If we had a king, there'd be no push and pull.
Right.
So I'm a fan of democracy, and that's
True democracy. You're a fan of true democracy.
If we take money out of democracy, it will get closer to what you're saying, what the true democracy is. But if you have no faith in it, be very, very careful with your words, because if you have no faith in it, then you have to ask yourself, do you want to be here? Do you want to be a part of this particular storyline? And it's no judgment either way. Many have elected to move abroad, so, there's nothing wrong with that. And yes, there are injustices. I would like to move. I like to name the injustices and move and correct them. That is generally my position. I could sit back and, even going back in my first house, in the neighborhood, people were chatting about this, that, and the other, but nobody was willing to do anything. So I
agree with that.
Right. So I stepped up, even though I wasn't really in a condition at that time to step up. As a new homeowner, I stepped up and, started the homeowners association and rallied everybody, those who understood, those who felt like they could have an impact, because there were, a few that thought it was useless as well. Hate that they felt that way, but nonetheless, we were able to do what we wanted to do in the neighborhood, on many of the things, not everything. Some things did come down to money. Secondly, once all the commissioners knew we existed, they wanted to be at our meetings. You see what I'm saying? So once a buzz happens, once you create a buzz, it's in their best interest to come talk to you. And that's that power wielding that I'm wanting people to understand. Voting is the least you can do. The least you have to do. It's the least you have to do. The work goes along with the voting. Bottom line. All right. Next
I knew that's what's going.
You got it.
But I mean, I'm just saying like this. And it's just gonna be quick. But do you think that everybody can know all the policies and the intentions of all those people that be on that ballot?
That's why you have to make it about the issues and not about their intentions. They could be corrupted.
Bad choice of words. Know what your policies are on situations that concern me.
If
do you don't know everybody,
them,
all those people? Because there'd be a lot of people on that ballot.
Yeah, but if you're voting for them, they should be talking your language. And if they're talking your language, then they're a possibility. You compare those who are talking your language and you vote for that individual. And you stay on that individual's ass.
But I don't know all them individuals on all that be on those ballots.
That means they haven't reached you. They haven't done their job. So those who have reached you, that you've queried about, in other words, you came together, they reached for you, you reached for them, they're talking your language, then you figure out who speaks your language better and you vote for them. But then you work with them and push them along.
So is it a travesty that you got a position that's up for taking and you don't know either one of them and you leave that one empty? Then that's just like not voting.
Then that's part of your responsibility is to learn what they are talking about, what they are saying. Whether if you have to let your desires know for whatever territory you're voting, you're part of. You have to do that. Voting is the least you have to do.
Okay. Well, we're gonna leave it right there. So the next question is: are Democrats different from Republicans, or are they all just the same, just on different side of the line, just being the same person?
Well, you have different philosophical differences, for sure. I mean, that's why they align. That individual may align themselves with whatever party, and they are, embedded into the fabric of America. The two-party system is embedded. It's, unfortunately, it would take a tearing down of the system to create something other than the two-party system because they're so embedded, right?
Right.
So we got to deal with what we got to deal with. Sometimes the promise of a third party, rises its head, which is great, and it'd be great if we had a third party to contemplate. But to answer your question, there is a philosophical difference. That's why they align themselves, the way they do. Is there game in politics, to make money? Yeah, no question. But it's hard to fake it to that point. I am somebody who literally could vote Republican. I'm generally a Democrat. The first time I voted was Republican, to be straight, to be honest with you. But since then I've been a Democrat. I can't fake being a Republican.
So what do you do when Republicans have things going on that you're interested in and that they're talking your language, and Democrats does too? Who do you vote for then? Because both of them have policies that relate to you that you're interested in or you want change in or whatever. So when you have both sides that's talking issues that you want to vote for, who do you vote for? Because I'm quite sure it's not just like totally Democrat. Everything that they believe in, they believe in all of that. You say, okay, well, they got good points over here as the Republicans too, but I'm a Democrat or I'm a Republican.
Right. I mean, and to be honest with you, I've wished for the last few national elections that I had that Republicans, I regret that they have not given me a choice, something to ponder other than the Democratic positions. So I regret that. But generally, if there's an agreement, there's already law. So that's the whole point of Congress, is to agree and put in place those things that you have in common. This debt ceiling thing is, you could see both sides of it, maybe. I mean, I don't, but you could very well see both sides of this debt ceiling issue that was just settled yesterday. And to some degree, both sides agreed that the debt ceiling should be, raised. So as a result, they wrote legislation to do just that. It is headed to the Senate now as a result. So that is that push and pull that I'm talking about that's necessary for, that makes this a great system, albeit, yes, areas of corruption, no doubt. No one will disagree with you on that. That is what makes me a fan, because it allows us from having these big swings left and right. And I don't mean necessarily Democratic, Republican. I just mean it creates a middle ground that satisfies most along the way.
But I don't think that the seesaw is ever in the middle. It's just like a seesaw. It's Democrats are up here, Republicans are down here. Somebody else get elected, it goes like this, and that's all it does. It just goes back and forward. It's just like a tennis match. Boom, 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 boom. It's never like like here.
When I said the seesaw, I was, like I said, it's not, like I said, it wasn't necessarily pertaining to, Democrats and Republicans, but I mean, in terms of desires. So, we may be zigzagging, but at least we're still on the road. We're not slamming the curb on the right, then we slamming the curb on the left. We slamming it's somewhere in the road. Even if it is, looked at in terms of Republican, Democrat, when people don't like what you've done, they vote you out. Bottom line, that's how we resolve that. That's how we resolve when either or situations. We should be somewhere in the middle. And so, either your term ends or you're voted out, to get back to the middle as best we can. You think it's going to be a red wave and it'd be a red blip. You know what I'm saying? People spoke.
I can get with that. But, I just feel that it's just for political gain. They just do things just to shake up shake up the country just because they can. I just don't, because I see too many people, whether it's something that's done to them specifically or something that was done, because you never see everybody, and I know you can't satisfy everybody.
You don't want to satisfy.
And you don't want to satisfy everybody, but it's, I never see anybody just put down something for the greater good of the people. It's always for some type of political gain or company gains. Somebody is winning off the agenda, except the people. Everybody's winning off the agenda at our cost, at the cost of us. And it's not. You never have anybody. Don't you know we make enough money in America that, if people was worried, if politicians was worried about the well-being of the people, they could make it where every family in America could go on a 2 weeks vacation, family, twice a year, and don't even have to pay for it. If they was worrying about you decompressing, not going in the company, shooting them up because you so worked up and you haven't been able to decompress. You just stressed out. You trying to make get all these things that they program to you, make you think that's what success is, and you got to make this
points in there, bro. You got a lot. I can't address all of them points.
I ain't saying for you to address them. What I'm telling you is, why do they not worry about people as they are stuff that really just benefits like corporate America?
Well,
and like I say, I know corporate America got all the money.
You don't,
and they gonna get their interest.
My answer, but that effort to bring you to cover an additional 30 million people in America with health care is a catalyst for caring about people. The complaint about universal health care and or the Affordable Act was,
and I got something for that.
Oh, there we go. There we go.
Go ahead.
All right. We run out of time, but
no, we gonna run this, and if we have to divide it into a part two, it's gonna be a part two because we got some things to talk about.
So that's an excellent example of keeping the American people in mind. Can other things be done? Absolutely. The reason why so much money was disseminated during COVID is that we learned from 2008, right? So, we can look back. Hindsight is always 2020. So we can look back in 2008. The idea at that time was if you could save the banks and save the big employers, like the car companies, then you can save jobs. Mm-hmm. That was the first time America was there. What we realized in hindsight that rescue plan didn't go far enough. It should have been paid out to people as well. So we realized that in hindsight. So when COVID happened, not only were the companies saved, got an infusion of cash, also people did. So, so that is that new awareness. Now, unfortunately, maybe a little too much money was spent. So in to your point, that money, many people, it was many, stimmy ballers out there who did go on vacation for 2 and 3 and bought luxury cars and that sort of thing, legally and unlegally. So yes, it can be done. You're 100% right. The money has to be accounted for. It's not going to come from a corporation because that's not
just print it like you always do.
Well, but we see where we are though.
Yeah.
You see, so we got an inflation issue because we printed too much. So you can't just flip it and say, just, give everybody this. That's coming from the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve is not necessarily interested in you going on a 2-week vacation.
Okay.
That didn't come from
that sounds all fine and good, but I'm finna flip the script right now. Flip the script. So, if the government,
the good men, go ahead with the good men.
If the government was trying to help us instead of trying to kill us, why would they infuse GMO? Why would they give a computer chip maker all the power that he is getting and getting to buy the seeds, buying all the rights to the seeds, buying up farmland in America, and infusing us with agreeing to lab-made meat, GMO that's killing us. That's where we have to have health care because the food is killing us. Why is the government not stepping in and say enough is enough? We're not going to kill our Americans because this food is giving our people cancer, and that's not how we want to do. But I know it's all part of the population control, but that's another subject for another day. But why would we not step in and get rid of those type of things? Because we have already been proven by many holistic doctors, i.e. Dr. Sebi has already proven that, this GMO food is not good for you and it causes cancer. And you can read right on top of products that say this may cause cancer.
I mean, it goes back to lobby.
Then it goes to just like the prison system. Hospital ain't making no money if ain't nobody filling them beds up.
Okay, you speaking to a whole nother thing, though. You speaking to a whole nother conversation.
But the government it should be able to regulate that.
So one, we touched upon already. You got lobby, right? So you
Monsanto's.
Okay, that's one. That's just one. I mean, they rolling out their stuff worldwide, and much of their product, is being rejected in other countries. We know this because because of GMO products, but some of the logic in it, and I'm not saying that I'm a fan, even though I'm talking about it. Some of the logic originally was food insecurity in general in America. So our grocery stores went from, when we were younger, the size of A&P. Well, now we have these big mega centers of stores, to make sure we can feed Americans. So that was some of the genesis. Of course, economics plays into that. The food is depleted because they turn it over or they cultivate the vegetation too fast. They feed the animals cheap food, so therefore, the meat, so it's that's some of the negative side effects of capitalism, right? Mm-hmm. And then you get in there, I need my food bought. I need to put my food on the shelf. So let me go pay and lobby in Washington, mm-hmm. right? So a negative side of capitalism, a negative side of capitalism and money in politics. So there's an assortment of things there. Now, you got passion about that. Anybody else got passion about it? You need to be working on that. You know what I'm saying? So you got to funnel that energy somewhere, because if you keep that energy, then you become sick off of your own words. So it would be therapeutic for you individually if you made an influence on those things that you are most passionate about. I am only passionate to the point of correcting my own personal intake, to a certain extent, not completely. Natural doctors, the establishment's not going to recognize natural doctors. Sebi's diet is actually restrictive for many. I've done it. It's for a short time. It's very, very restricted. I only include elements of Sebi's diet into my life. But it's extremely, extremely, extremely. But you just
do you eat sea moss?
Yeah. I got sea moss at the house now. I make my own gel. Bought sea moss capsules for some people. It does make a difference. Even my lab work reflects it. I can tell when my lab work is picking up on that I've been taking sea moss.
But you know why they won't recognize it though, right?
Who is they?
The government. I mean, they won't recognize holistic doctors.
Well, no, they won't
because
there's
why?
There's a whole history there.
Well, why there is the two connected, Food and Drug Administration, right?
Sure, right. I mean, it's industry. That's the dark side of capitalism. I get that. I see, those things, but once you become aware, once again, you must act. I must act in my own life, and not pick up the potato chips. I mean, there's some potato chips right now I could go get for discount, and it goes well with that ranch dip,
right.
Frito dip, But I gotta chill on that because I know what's that's not good for me, and if I did it, I have to do it sparingly, not too often. I must act. I can't just simply say I gotta, if that's the case out there, then I have to seek out that which is natural, that which feeds my body and feeds my cells. I discovered that maybe 10 years ago. If you feed the cells of your body, you will not be hungry all the time. Feed the cells of your body, you will be hungry less, therefore stuffing your mouth less, therefore alleviating any sort of weight issues that you may have or help with weight issues.
And America is the most overweight country in the world.
You're absolutely right because of the food supply.
Because of the food supply
is wrecked, absolutely wrecked.
So I want to go to this next question, but I really don't want to get into it because we've talked about it through the conversation that we have already. Does politics really make life better? And you want to comment on that, or we could pass that because we
progressively better if we keep our head and not, and be reasonable. Even those extremists, I've often said they know they're not. They're being extreme for another reason than being authentic. They know that what they say doesn't make sense. They are doing it for another reason. I
think that's for just distraction.
Well, they got an agenda for sure.
Yeah, but it's to distract you from the agenda at hand, though. It's like we don't want you.
They're pushing for something, that favors them strongly, even though they know they're not right. They know, and you can sometimes see it, but they just pick up these catchphrases that that aligns them with the ulterior motive,
right? Well, this next question, and it's not. Well, I'll get to it. I'll read it out. It says, "Do you think that politics are the reason for the downfall of the country, or is it the people?"
I don't sense a downfall.
That's what I was about to get to. It's like that kind of word. The downfall kind of is like subjective, but. Like in the words of Trump, "Make America great again." But what is great again? But I have to say that I think that the country is going down. I don't think that the country is as great as it used to be. I think people are thriving, but I don't think that we're better. I think the country was in a better state back a couple of centuries ago. I mean, not centuries, not centuries, decades. I'm sorry.
So you placing it, yeah. I mean, and you, in my opinion, once again, whoever's listening, I'm not an expert. I don't claim to be an expert.
No, we don't. We're not claiming to be experts, and we don't got all the answers. But these are our opinions and our discussions, and I'm quite sure you have your own, and it would just spark your mind to what I tell you all before when y'all listen to my podcast. This podcast was developed to spark your mind to think again. Just don't be dumbed down. Use your brain and just have intellectual conversations. So
and secondly, please like and subscribe
and comment
and comment at bottom. But if we see your comment and we don't see your like, you didn't vote.
You didn't vote.
So you might get deleted. we don't know your concern. We don't know who you are. You didn't vote.
Right.
But so I mean, to that point, actually 2 points really. What I'm concerned most heavily now is guns. That is my biggest concern.
What is your concern about guns?
Meaning the uncontrolled ability to acquire. So that's it. Am I saying that I don't want people to own guns? No, I can't say that. Even if I don't, just responsible gun ownership. So that's what I'm most concerned with today, right? From a collective standpoint. But I would agree with you in terms of the decades. I specifically will say pre-80s, pre-Reagan. There was principles, the principles of America shifted, in my opinion. It became less about people and more about corporations, more about dollars. Other people have spoken to this, and it's gotten progressively worse as far as I can see. So where we are right now, our frame of reference is still very corporate centric, money centric. Before, as a country, we were more interested in, seeing people, strive. And some of the reason is, some aspect of it is race. When Black people weren't reaching for higher education, it was cheap to free, free to cheap. And once, Black people started reaching for education, all of a sudden, this is when higher education, this is when it exploded in terms of cost. This is when the loans came out. This is, that whole game, predatory game, in my opinion, of lending for the purposes of higher education. It just simply should be written in our laws. Every state, educate your people.
Exactly.
Educate your
You got to invest in your people if you expect to go to achieve higher things and greater things. If you put your students in debt to where they coming out of school with this astronomical debt, they can't really focus on being innovative and creative and those type of things. They just trying to survive. But that's why I'm saying that they sit around and they do these things because they want to make you a slave to the system that you will never be able to get ahead. You will never be able to get ahead of those bills because because debt is slavery, is the modern day slavery. And if they keep you in debt, you will always be able to have to say yes sir, no sir. You can't be free because you can't tell your boss, F off. I ain't doing that today because he writes your checks. And so you have to be submissive to him and do their agenda because you're not free. Because of all this debt that they're in, and then they make it to where you think, like I said, they make it seem like success is all these things, these big lavish things, and then when they bombard you with these and put them on social media and put them on TV and make you think that this is success, and then you go out and get them and you just going further and further down that rabbit hole, and you would never dig yourself out of that hole.
You can't say you can't, and I see this a lot that people put a lot of things on the government, that the government has this evil agenda against its people, but that's counterintuitive because you hurt your people, then you don't derive taxes. That's what runs the government. So there's a few forces that come together, and unfortunately, it is your choice to buy into it or not. To a certain extent, I buy into it to a certain extent, and then in other ways I don't. And to I've said before if the American dream, telling you that the American dream is the way, is really a way to someone else to get paid. You're not getting paid through that American dream. It should be the American entrepreneur route, both domestically and globally. So that's what I would advocate for. Yes, you must educate your people. We are now sitting at to me, and this is just opinion, we are at a deficit education-wise, especially given this new advent of AI. Many jobs will be lost. Where are people going to go? So
they're going to have to reinvent themselves. They're going to have to learn new trades.
Absolutely, but the skill level is a big, huge jump, right? So if you haven't educated them at a certain level, it'll be almost impossible to jump to the level in which you need to. So tech is really the way we should be. The education system needs to be revamped. You can see the craziness in it. How it's just not meeting.
But see, this is why I'm telling you that they don't have our best
Who
interests
is
at hand. It's the
they?
government, because if me and you can sit here, these are supposed to be our educated people that we choose to lead us. Like I always tell people, if the aliens come down here and say, take me to your leader, we are in big trouble. Because if these people are this smart and got all these collective ideas or whatever, and a lot of them are old, they need to get out of here or whatever and come with these new fresh ideas or whatever. But if you got all these people and they coming around and you know your people are reading at a 4th grade level, and then you introduce AI, you know these people are going to have to, you can't get rid of them. They're gonna be somewhere.
I see passion again.
But this is what I'm saying. That's right. Because you know why? Because you sitting up here, you finna drive people into poverty, and you see it and you advocate for it, and then you sit up here and then you try to act like I'm supposed to vote for you.
All right,
that don't make sense. And because you sitting up here, and I'm not you.
I know.
They sitting up here and they making it seem like everything is gonna be all good when you see this coming down the pipe.
They can't act alone. They act on your behalf. You're making your position known on YouTube, which is great. That's a great avenue. But you're going to have to talk to your politicians, both locally and nationally. Tell them your concern. You just can't sit back. Identify the problem, great, but don't stay stuck there. And that's
right.
what I see. So, I'm an old guy. You know what I'm saying? A lot of my work, I've done a lot of my work, and not to say I won't do more, but yeah. I mean, I honestly, I've often thought in terms of my personal work, as I study AI myself, my wish really has been for the last few weeks is I wish I could open up basically a tech house, basically a house where, several students come in for a particular purpose to learn a certain level of efficiency with AI, specifically prompt engineering, and that's huge right now. And they would, live under the same roof, for 6 months. I think Silicon Valley has some incubators like that. And you just have one, instructor come in on occasion, to help them along the way in those studies. But if I had a magic wand, I would literally open up, and I say house versus classroom because it's a coming together of a particular desire, particular desire to learn a particular thing. And if you put people together, live together, then they will learn it a lot faster because they will feed off each other. So that's very different from just offering a class somewhere, because you can find, I'm giving y'all a tip right now. You can find prompt engineering online easily. Begin to, Google that and learn that.
Another thing that they could get into is cybersecurity too, because
that's the other one.
But it should be funding to.
There may be,
like, just say you like want to open a house. It should be funding to you to be able to get the resources that you need to go and just teach a house full of people.
There may be,
or
especially if you do a nonprofit,
or whatever, because you got to, like I say, you got people out here. These supposed to be the smart individuals that's helping running this country. That that you're going to have to educate your people, because you just can't leave them out in the cold like that, because the progression that they're going is so fast that they don't even have time to get that information to be successful or to be citizens that's going to make a difference in the future. It's like we want to leave y'all behind, so it's going to be the have and the have-nots. And then, like I say, they are doing this, and they know this is happening, and it's like they don't even care. They
can't act.
Okay,
really, they can't act in that way. Maybe they could, but
do you know these kids still got the same curriculum that we were studying it hasn't changed, but the world has changed and evolved.
Absolutely. So it's clearly not the priority of the collective, because if it's the priority of the collective, then they'd hear about it. It's just not the priority of the collective. Sadly, you know.
But like I always tell y'all,
It
if
ain't
y'all
the
go
good
back
man.
and look at some of my previous podcasts, I tell you the phrase that stayed with me for a long time. In order for us to elevate, we got to destroy. And it's sad to say, but this system gonna have to be destroyed before we can elevate, because this system is not for the people. That's my opinion.
But what would it look like? What does a system that's for the people look like for you?
Educating, like you could go, you don't see those people in China. They educating them kids in tech and stuff. They not teaching this sorry curriculum that we got in our schools or whatever, and teaching these lies and stuff, and still it's still on the agendas.
So
of,
you just speaking to education system.
well, that's part of it, because if you don't not educated, you not gonna know anything. You know, they say you do better when you know better.
Right.
And so
right.
if they don't know no better, that's
got
why I'm
that.
trying to elevate
But
y'all
you said the
minds now.
system. You said the system.
The
so
system, the
so-
matrix that we live in.
all right.
The matrix that we live in, but that's a different story. We're gonna talk about that later. You
But
know,
if
we
you
gonna
shift it, ain't that just another matrix?
it is. But this is the thing. In this part of the matrix, we need to invest in our children. And I'm not saying as,
you got
as
some good
individuals.
points. We should have took notes, because
We need to invest in our children, because that is the way of the future. And if you are not investing in our children and not educating them, we're going to be lost. And we're going to be behind. While other countries are out here educating their kids, we're going to be the third world country. Maybe not in our lifetime, but don't you want that for your kids for them to be able to sustain a satisfactory life? So, you know, it's not for you, just for you. It's about but your kids and your grandkids too. So, you know, we got to get out here and we got to do things, and we got to make sure that our kids get the proper education and the proper tools so they can thrive in their futures.
No, that's 100% right.
But that's what I'm saying about politics. You know, y'all got the upper hand to make these things happen.
But
I'm
if
not
they
saying
don't
I'm not saying you can solve all our problems, because there's many problems.
But if they don't hear from the collective, that's our job as the collective.
Well, we need to get a collective, because
Yeah, I mean, absolutely.
This is
Absolutely.
terrible.
Yeah.
And I'm a type of person where I can see into the future, and it don't look good. I'm just telling you what I see. Now, I ain't no oracle or nothing like that, but I don't see things. I see things getting bad before they get better.
Okay.
So, is that you want any more comments on that question? You want to go to the next one?
What was the question? What was the
Do you think politics is the reason for the downfall of the country or the
yeah,
people?
yeah. So yeah, I don't agree. There's a downfall. There's some not so great things, disastrous things that I think that are happening in the country. Yes, but as a whole, I think we're cool. I'm not 100% satisfied with everything. The gun thing does really concern me because of experiences of people close to me. And what I see, on news, and I don't know, it's just I hate that anyone feels, that they need. I hate the fact that that's a reality, that people feel like they need to have a gun. And I'm not judging them for having a gun. I hate that they feel that they have to have a gun. So, that does bother me. And like I said, it's not a judgment of them. I just wonder, as a collective, what are we doing where people have to feel like they have to,
So let me ask you this. You were saying that, as a collective, if they don't hear you, so you don't think that as a collective, there are many people out there that feel like you and they don't hear y'all?
There's 84, you talking about in terms of guns?
Yeah.
Yeah, 84% because of lobby, 84% of Americans agree to sensible gun laws, and so that pressure has to be there. I think we're in the process of breaking that down. I'm not going to lie to you, and I know the core. We're saying sensible gun laws and it's being saying, oh, I'm a Second Amendment, this, that, whatever. That ain't really what that ain't really why you ain't got that, right?
Yeah.
So that's the BS that I'm talking about. I think we're slowly but surely making headway on that. Is it as fast as I want? No, because I see it as being something very, very simple. So, that is being heard. The stats are there. It's being talked about more, and that's part of what happens with the collective and then with politics.
But, in my opinion, I just don't, I think, for one, the NRA has too much power. For two, this country is built on guns and violence. I just don't think that you're going to be able to I ain't going to say you can't, because everything is possible. But I just don't think that they're going to create the environment to where people can feel that a gun is not necessary, because they're pushing them. They're pushing them.
There's this is a culture of guns here in this country. A culture. It's not just a fling. It's embedded into the history of America.
It's weaved into the soil of the country.
Yeah. So, but at least gun controls on acquisition. No one should be able to just go out and just straight off the bat buy a gun.
They can't.
Huh?
They can't.
Yeah, they can. Yeah, Texas they can. Florida they can.
They got to get a background check.
No, sir. That's what we hoping for. But in certain jurisdictions, they can go right up to a counter, buy it. They can have a grudge, go down the street, buy it.
I just bought a gun in Texas, and I had to wait.
Wherever it is. I mean, let's try Florida. Let's just do that. There are places where people can just go get a gun. There's no need for a background. I think even some of the shooters, the recent, massacres, the shooters, one of the last two, I want to say, just acquired a gun a day or two before, so that's not sensible. I wonder why you had it. I think Texas is one. I don't know. Maybe something else at play.
You had to go through a federal. You had to get a federal background check.
Okay, maybe something else was at play.
No. I'm telling you.
Maybe something else was at play.
No, because it was some of them in there too, and they was waiting for their check up. They checked up too.
How long did it take?
Well, it took me about 3 weeks, because this was around the COVID time. So they were saying they didn't have enough people to do the check, so it took longer or whatever. Yeah. But it usually only take a couple of days, but it took about 2-3 weeks.
That may have changed because of this recent discussion. So I didn't know it was back in. I thought you meant like last week or something. But that may have changed for Texas. I think it's a what do you call it? First of all, open carry, yeah, for sure. And I think acquisition changed.
Now they have changed where you don't need a permit.
Yeah,
but you have to go back
for the buy.
Yeah,
for the buy. Okay,
you don't have to have a permit here in Texas or
below.
Georgia.
Wherever y'all are, comment what your state's gun laws are in terms of acquisition. And below. So, inform us. I mean, I'm not playing like I know everything. So
I want to get to this next question. Okay. I already know your answer, but I'm going to ask it anyway. So it says, is voting the answer to the future?
If you want democracy, yes. If you want to, what do you want? I mean, if you don't want democracy, what do you want?
But even though we vote, I think we more closer to communism as we are a democracy.
No, we ain't no Russia. Trust me.
No, we're not. But I think we're closer.
No, we're closer. We're closer to socialism. And frankly, I think we probably need to be a little bit more closer to socialism, in my opinion.
What's the name? Want to beat you over the head for saying that?
Who said
the Republicans?
Oh, I know. I mean, and I'm a capitalist too. Don't get me wrong, but I think a lot of things were initiated in our system that was intended to help everybody, but through the process or the attachment of money, it inverted. I believe the corporation was meant for everybody, to raise everybody, but then the corporation
got greedy.
got greedy. I mean, this is why you have, multi-million-dollar CEOs and, paying less taxes than, office worker.
Right.
So it didn't lift everybody. It was inverted. It was perverted, and, yeah. So, I mean, I just think we need to, it's an issue of priority and principles. Take care of the people.
Well, I think that's what we have lost in America.
That's
I
what I'm
think
saying.
we've lost morals and principles in here. So it's
I ain't gonna speak to morals because that's a big old conversation because
it might need to be had.
This religious group will say that religious group ain't moral and vice versa, and I ain't trying to get in that conversation.
Wait, I told you at the beginning of the show, I said I don't like talk about politics because it split the room. But you remember what I said the other one was too, didn't you? Religion. Because people, you can lose friends behind religion, and like I say, it splits the room, and I really don't like talking about it, but I think this is light enough that we can talk about because it's just an opinion, and we're gonna talk about religion too. Hey, I told you in the beginning, we're gonna ruffle some feathers. So hey, if you ain't got thick skin, I think this is not the place for you. But we're gonna talk about it. Like I said, I knew that was gonna be your answer for voting. And don't get me wrong, I'm not totally against voting. Excuse me. I'm not totally against voting because I understand the concept or whatever, but I'm just saying of the things that can improve with voting. And we need to get some people in there that are really for the people.
How we gonna get them in there?
Well, in that system, you're going to have to vote for them.
All right.
Because that's the only way that they can get in there and they can, we might maybe need to make some interest groups or something or whatever and pass some money under the table and get it because that's how they do. But, anyway.
You're trying to knight somebody, you are now.
Yeah, so we get some things done. But, before that, I think, our people, we need to unite. We need to organize. We got to get organized. We got to unite. It's the only way we're gonna make it. We can't be fractured.
I mean, even to your point, the George Floyd bill died, and so why? We should have been right on top of that.
Exactly.
Why weren't we on top of that? Because through the process, through the not judicial, but the legislative process, things can die, and it could die for numbers of reasons. It's not a priority for whatever reason. I thought that was going to be a done deal.
Well, Black Lives is not a priority, especially when you got Black Lives Matters leaders to take money and deceive the people.
Come on now. Black Lives Matter is a great organization.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
No, it's not.
You listening to that right wing stuff.
Them women need to be. They need to be handled.
Their role was in the moment and at the time in which they occurred. Maybe it's not meant for them to go on long term, but they didn't rise up out of nothingness. They rise up because of a reason.
They rose up out of an opportunity.
No, I can't.
Where were they at before George Floyd?
Whatever.
Where were they at before George Floyd? They were nowhere to be found.
Yeah, we've been talking Black Lives Matter since
George Floyd.
No, since before Trump was in office, because I had some dialogue with a lot of people. I know exactly where I was living at the time, and it was during the time right before. What was it? A Philando Castro killing? Somewhere around, I could say it's maybe somewhere around there. But they didn't rise up out of nothing. It wasn't, let's just do this and take this money. No.
Yeah, it is. You know why I can tell you it is?
Yeah, it is what?
That's what it was all about.
How? All the work that everybody did? No.
Where are they now?
I don't care. They may not have had to.
But that's what I'm saying. They was for the moment because they were opportunists. They was like, look, everybody's on pins and needles right now. There's an opportunity we can get in here and we can do this.
Many things were launched as a result. Many things were achieved through Black Lives Matter. The effort right now through right-wing media is to try and tag them as some sort of hate group. and that sort of thing. So right now, what the far right is doing is deflecting, or should I say projecting. I didn't want to get into that, but
Well, we don't have to get
yeah.
into it because it that's not what we're talking about right now. But I ain't for Black Lives Matter. I believe Black Lives Matter, but them people out there that got it started that's doing it is frauds. And I said that.
Okay,
Say what you want, put it in the comments or whatever.
All right,
Say
well,
what
then
you want, but they are frauds.
What have you been reading?
Did you see that money that they spent off all that money they made from
What
Black
was your source? What was your source?
Articles.
I know which who from whom.
I don't remember. I mean, I don't remember every
careful.
source or every article I read, but I've read many articles. So everybody's not lying.
Be careful.
I know, and you're right. Be careful, but it's a lot of stuff out there that we all gotta be careful
about.
A
whole bunch of people at the Capitol on January 6th climbing walls, breaking windows, seeking people out because they were reading the wrong crap.
That's on them.
I know, so I'm saying there's a lot of information that's
part of the plan to give all misinformation so you don't know what to believe. Give a lot of miseducation and misinformation to keep you scrambling.
Some people's plan. Those who speak.
Just like during the Black Lives Matter of George Floyd killing when the police laid the bricks down in the neighborhood. Yeah. Got pictures of them laying the bricks down in the neighborhood.
You saying Black Lives Matter did that?
No. Oh. I'm saying during that time. When George Floyd and all was going on.
Right. And so, but to some degree, Black Lives Matter was co-opted too by people that were not Black Lives Matter. There was a particular girl who had a video going around saying, these people in these masks and these black suits, that's not us. She said, that's not us tearing this stuff up.
Exactly.
So, I can't go there. I haven't seen any reason to dislike black. I know some of the stuff that is chatter out there, but I haven't found a reason to dislike. Once again, there's been an effort to vilify and to make them some sort of hate group. And
we know they're not a hate group,
right? Well, I'm just telling you the same information flow that's trying to make them a hate group. Has other things to say about them. So, I'll say that.
Yeah. All right. So. The next question is, do you think presidents are picked or are they chosen?
Picked by who? Voters. Ha, ha, ha. See how that works?
No, are they picked by the establishment, by the system? And are they groomed from...
Do people have their interests in mind? Do corporations have their interests in mind? Absolutely. Everybody votes, right? So...
Everybody don't vote.
I know. But I mean, that's my point. I mean, people who vote, they have their interests. So everybody's interested in what will give them what they want. Are you saying the entire full, power structure in America just automatically chooses them and everything is a game in between, leading up to? Is that what you're implying?
Partly.
No. What happens is that there are influences in that, yes. Are these power structures or powerful individuals have their particular interest and they may do whatever through their businesses to get behind a particular candidate? Yeah, but...
let me ask you this.
Everybody popular vote said Hillary Clinton, but Trump got in there. You see what I'm saying? So
let me ask you this.
You got to quit being so pessimistic.
No, I'm pessimistic just to see both sides.
Okay.
Do you think that Obama really had a chance at this time?
What you mean?
In America to be president?
Yeah, he outsmarted him, and the old guard hated him for it. That's why they came after him so badly. He outsmarted them. He was called the Facebook president because he understood the value of social media. They hated him for that. this black man.
But so you say social media is what made him president?
It got his message out much better than his opponent.
I voted for Barack both times. So
You're supposed to.
I only voted 3 times, and that was 2 times for Barack and 1 time for Clinton. And found out later that Clinton was a dirtbag.
He ain't a dirt. He did some good things too.
He did some good things, but he a dirtbag too.
You see, you going on into the personal stuff. Just look at they work in terms of what they did. I mean, we all got dirt.
No. This was political too. You know, he wrote the crime bill.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he did. I mean, and
with your boy that's in there now.
I know you're right. You're 100% right. You're 100% right.
With your homegirl that's in there too, that did a lot of work behind that crime bill.
Talking about Hillary?
No,
Who?
Kamala.
All right, here we go with the.
All of them was all in that. They was all in that together.
Kamala was an attorney, maybe at that time. I think she was at Howard, frankly. So, once again,
no. I'm not talking about at that time. I'm talking about when she got into politics.
She just recently got into politics. That was Cali. I mean,
when she was in San Francisco.
Yeah. But she can't do anything with the crime bill because she's in San Francisco.
No, what I'm saying is she used it to give a lot of black people sentences over zealous sentences over minor crimes.
Okay. And what district or what area did she cover? Was it mostly black?
Yeah.
Well, it's gonna be mostly black convictions. I mean, I'm not coming to her defending her because I don't know enough about, honestly, I don't know enough about what she did while she was in the office.
And don't think that I'm black bashing, but what I'm saying is, why are we so critical of our own? That's why I don't understand. Why do we not reach out and help these people and without trying to take them down? And I know there are some people that need to be in jail. I know that. But there are some people that don't deserve to be in jail over the things that they did because of their circumstances. But everything is a choice, and they made the wrong choice, and they may have gotten caught up. But prison is not what did they say it's supposed to do for you?
Rehabilitation.
Prison is not rehabilitation. It is not. It just teaches. It just breeds new criminal. But anyway. Yeah, I'm just not.
Be careful of the news feed. Be careful of your news feed.
I am careful. I don't just get one source.
No, I mean, be careful of the sources. Now it's too easy to proliferate information right now.
Yeah, but okay, so then you say be careful. Then who do you trust?
Well, that's what I've been asking all the. That's what I've been asking all the right people. They say you can't trust the mainstream media. Well, then. Who are you listening to, and why do you trust them?
And then, your boy call it fake news.
I know. I mean, because but what news, and why do you trust them? So you're listening to somebody.
I don't listen to CNN and
I understand. I get
MSNBC and all that stuff.
What you listen? What you look at?
I look at different articles all over the country, and they have to be aligned for me to believe them.
Well, still be there is a lot of replication of information out there, especially, that
could be anything. So who do you believe?
Okay.
What about your sources?
Right.
Are they credible?
I have to discern what I connect with them and not. And is mainstream media sometimes used as a thought shaper? Yes. But to outright lie can be called out in the mainstream, right? So if anyone, you could, even with what did Fox do recently? It was an issue that they had. They spent so much time telling this particular story, and Laura Ingraham had to come by, and she took 5 seconds to say it was a lie. What was it? I can't remember what the situation was. So you can't be a big organization and just flagrant. Well, Fox does, but
Okay, I'm finna get right back into it. We finna get right back into what we was talking about earlier about politicians and the interests of the people or whatever. If you know somebody out here flat out lying, how do you let them that's just like now I found out that false advertisement supposed to be against the law. I see so much false advertisement, but I'm saying, how can you, I know you can sue people for lying on you, but how do you let sources come out and just flat out lie? That's supposed to be credible sources.
well, you sue them like Dominican did.
Well, they need to do a lot more suing then, because if it's all this misinformation out here, then why are they letting it fly? And why, just like that,
That's why
they got that site. Remember, it's like it's not for like politics or anything, but like something might come out or whatever, and they say it's a fact check site, and we don't even know if that's
Snopes is one.
you go and you check and see if it's true or not. They do a fact check on it or whatever. So. Who do you trust?
Stay with those who have a good reputation. Excuse me. Stay with those who have a good reputation. Stay with those who are not, being sued for almost $1 billion. And still use your eye and ear of discernment, even following the ones with the better reputations.
But I don't really give it a lot of weight, because I know all of this is part of an agenda anyway. So I really don't.
That's a different conversation, and I'm interested in actually hearing it, but maybe not now. But
yeah, but that's part of the agenda. So I don't really give it a lot of weight, because everything has a lot of ulterior motives out here for a lot of things that go on. Everything that you see is not what it is. It's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes that you don't know behind the curtain. I always use the analogy of the Wiz. The Wiz, if you're black, and the Wizard of Oz, if you seen that. But
mainstream.
If you mainstream, but you always got to go check that little dude behind the curtain, because he running everything. So everything in front of the curtain is an act, and it just giving you an appearance, and it's giving you an opinion or something that they want you to believe. But check that little guy behind the curtain, because he running everything. The little guy sitting up there working all them little wheels and everything back there.
Levers.
He's the man.
Yeah.
So that's what I got to say about that. All right. So that was our last question. And you got anything else you want to promote, or any way they want to get in contact with you, or anything that you want to say to the people?
No, not really. I enjoyed this. I appreciate you bringing me on. I mean, it was, he didn't invite me on as some sort of expert or some sort of debater or anything like this. We've had similar conversations in the past about many of these topics. He thought it would be good to kind of put it on tape. And have you guys?
He old school. He say tape.
that's it's all on tape.
Yeah.
Put it on tape, video, and share it with you guys. You guys, of course, follow his page, his YouTube, and like the video and comment below. I hope that we got some comments below to kind of refer to, and maybe we could do a follow up video on questions and or points made by those who commented. So, feel free to go ahead and add your commentary and your concern, and I don't mind chatting. That's what we're doing. We're just chatting.
And y'all could just teach us something. If you know something that we don't know, or we wrong about something,
correct us.
I don't have any problem with that. I'm always open to learning new things. Reach out, put in your comment. I can even get back with you and reply to your comment. I can reach out to him if it's something you want to say to him, or whatever. Like I said, like he said, we're not experts, and we're not here to say that we know it all. We just here giving our opinion on situations, and we just want to pass them on to you and enlighten you on some things, and hopefully that you're entertained enough that you'll come back and and watch us again. So with that being said, I'd like to thank y'all for watching. I'd like to say like, comment, subscribe, and share this video. Tell your family and friends that we out here so we can get into the algorithm and we can get all over the world to show our opinions to the world and connect with those that's trying to make a change, and maybe we can get those that don't vote to start voting from the things that we say, or if you vote and you might not want to vote no more from other things that we said. But it's all up to you, because life is a choice, and it's your life. So I like to thank you again for let that sink in. My motto is mind elevation. Think and always use your brain, and never believe everything that you hear and not everything that you see. Peace.